All right, we're live with Jason Scott and the High Heat.
What's up, man?
Nothing. What's going on?
Hello. I'm Jason, by the way.
It's funny. We had to clarify that earlier. I wonder how long it would have took me to figure it out, or you guys to be like, "Oh, by the way."
Yeah, we could have done the old switcheroo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
We'll
that
wear
would have been
name
great.
tags next time.
Yeah, but I'll put Pat right here and just
Hell
there was a dad joke the other day, but so the High Heat. What's the meaning behind that? Other than I was gonna say it's hot.
Yeah, it is hot.
Is
It's
that
kind of a
really?
yeah. Well, I mean, it's hot in Oklahoma for sure, and down here in the South. Um, it's kind of a baseball reference. I'm a big baseball fan. I think I'm the only one.
Oh,
in
baseball?
Yeah, okay. He likes baseball. So we were trying to come up with names, and band names are so hard because everything just sounds lame, at least to me.
Yeah.
Even like names like the Beatles or something. It's like, what is the Beatles? What does that mean? So
Yeah.
we threw out a bunch of names and kind of had like a running notes list and just kind of narrowed it down. We had some bad ones though. What Dad Behavior I think was one for a bit. That's still in the running if this
We
doesn't
can
work
just, yeah, we
out.
can always change.
If the heat cools off, then maybe we'll go to Dad Behavior.
That's some more babies.
Yeah, we'll get going.
That's funny. So, yeah, I also see like on iTunes sometimes it's just Jason Scott.
Yeah,
And it's just other times it's Jason Scott and the High Heat.
right.
Is that like you have like an independent side to it, or it's
Well,
like a solo?
Yeah, my first record was just kind of under the Jason Scott name, and then as the band really developed, then we started wanting to add a band name to it. But the process to change all of that, via distribution sources is just kind of a bitch. So
Yeah,
uh,
that
I think the Moon Pies just went through some of this with Silverado.
I was just gonna bring that up. That
Yeah,
had to be a
it
nightmare
sucked.
because
Yeah.
like how do you like would you just call up someone in Facebook and be like, hey, I want to keep my blue check mark. I swear on Mike.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of that hard. I mean, and you don't know the email address. It's like it's difficult, but
Yeah.
it's kind of too. You never know how long something is going to work and last. So I think we're getting to a point where maybe we have to finally file the paperwork and get everything changed across the board. It'll just be a hassle, but
Yeah.
I'll
I
do
mean,
when they make me.
it's as long as your name's involved, because yeah, being the front man is it's always nice to have your name first.
Yeah, I mean they might all leave me.
Yeah, it's true. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Have you guys been together for a long time?
Yeah, especially us two, kind of the founding members. He was a part of the first, just self-named project. We're a little more of a bluegrass oriented. I mean, not bluegrass, but
Yeah, a little folkier,
yeah.
a little more acoustic.
And as we kind of developed and sort of, I was pretty new to the singing too then, but as we met more people through, just local interactions and stuff, the band really kind of developed. I played keys and guitars in some friends' bands, and then as time went on, they moved over and
Yeah, I was also when I googled you, it say you grew up in the church,
yeah,
like,
I did, yeah.
and like
Real,
it seemed like you're really isolated.
oh yeah, Pentecostal, like and early, like late '80s, early '90s Pentecost, which is a whole lot more strict than the current Pentecost climate. But we were reading like TV and stuff like. I wasn't exposed to a lot of worldly influence until I was a teenager.
Yeah, like, and that like when you really think about it, like I was also reading like you said like you watched the Goonies for the first time in like your
Yeah,
like 20s and you're like, ugh. Like okay, like but I get it like like when you're a kid, you believe in like all kinds of crazy stuff, like the Tooth
yeah,
Fairy, Santa Claus, and like when you see stuff when you're that age, it's like magic. But I
yeah.
can, when you grow up and then you see it and you don't remember having it that element, it has to be so different. And do you think with music that just molded like your just have like a different approach and
Yeah.
influences?
Yeah, I think for sure. You know, the one thing the Pentecostal church does have is pretty decent music as far as, you know, rhythm and soul, and I feel like that's part of a lot of the way I write and express on stage, you know, from that side. But as far as my exposure to a lot of secular music, it didn't come till later in life, um, and it's been cool, kind of being introduced to new stuff that then I feel like turns around and kind of comes out in one of the songs that we're working on. And our buddy Taylor Johnson, who kind of writes a lot of the songs with me, he's been people always ask who my biggest influences are. Well, like it's the guys in this band because they've just exposed me to so much. And I was in church later in life too. I mean, I didn't get out really until I didn't escape until I was 27. So I had a little period in my youth where I was kind of exposed to some more stuff, but not enough for it to be a catalog to really pull from. A lot of it was church music and then exposure after I was set free.
Set free. Yeah, because I just today on Facebook, I'm a part of the PA Red Dirt, and Jerry and Rhonda are doing the Ramble in the Woods.
Yep.
And I was they were there for my first Red Dirt experience with American Aquarium, and
Cool.
and they're great. And they had I have it here. I wanted to read it, and of course my light's in the way. It just said, "Caught halfway between amplified Americana and the Heartland roots rock, Jason Scott and the High Heat create a sweeping, dynamic sound that reaches far beyond their Oklahoma City home. Too loud for folk music and too textured for Red Dirt. This is the sound of a genuine band, routed in groove, grit, and its own singular spirit."
Say it again.
Yeah.
That's a great description.
We paid $500 for that.
Oh, you could have saved money and just did ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys did Mile Zero this year?
We did, dude, and we were kind of, this is the first year on the amphitheater stage, like the big stage, and it was awesome. I've played that festival since kind of it started, just on the solo stages, and then the last couple of years we were able to bring the band, but it was satellite stuff. And then this year, and Kyle Carter, the people that run it, are good friends of mine, and they gave us an opportunity to open the whole thing, and it was a really good time.
That's awesome. I went the year before, and then this year I was like, I can't go. I can't swing the funds because it was just going to be me again. And then right before it was getting ready to get down, so I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "All right, let's go." And I was like, I don't know if there's tickets. And I was like the Airbnbs, I would have to like stay in like a sailboat,
Yeah,
kayak to it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man. I said, but I think this year I'm going to do the $100, just
the day thing.
yeah, just a commitment to go.
Yeah,
Because it is great. It's just so, it's just the access. Like when people are like, how do you meet all these people? I'm like, go to Mile Zero. I said, they're walking around. They're on Duval. They're everywhere.
And they're all great people too, man. They're just accessible people, anyways.
Yeah, the first night there, that was the first time I'd ever like. It's so weird to get recognized like for being on TikTok and like having, just, hey, what do you drink? It's just like, oh, and it's just, oh, okay, and then like hanging at Midnight River Choir, they're like, yeah, you don't remember, like you weren't even sitting in the cab, you were laying down on in between the seats. I'm like, nope. Key West, baby.
Yeah, we know that game. It's cool. You were talking about like the access. So it was some of his buddies he got to bring along this year. They're all like doctors and stuff, but they were huge fans of like Red Dirt music, and it was cool to see them like see some of their heroes just at bars or like walking around, and just like you'd see their eyes light up, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's blah blah blah," and it was cool to witness it through them.
Yeah, it's definitely a great festival. So do you have like a short, a story or an experience that inspired your songwriting? Like the way you go, because you like the couple of songs I listened, they're all like wildly different in very like intricate ways, but in ways that I like. I should also
Cool.
point that out.
Yeah, man, I've spent a lot of time on the road. I have a business that I've done weddings for a long time, between Colorado and Texas. So I spent a lot of time in the car, and that's when I do a lot of riding, and like different towns I've been in, or we've got a song coming out called High Country that was just kind of off of having to sleep in rest stops, and using some different uh, substances to enjoy that yeah, to stay awake. And anyways, uh, and I like, we have a song called "Suffering Eyes" was written about an experience in a bar with a guy who's kind of a douchebag, and you know his own problem, and just can't see it, and that kind of inspired that song. And I think religion, I was kind of pulled from that quite a bit, which that all has root in stories from my childhood and experiences with that. But I will say that I'm always looking. I like just mixing it up with anybody and everybody, because you never know like what someone's going to say, or not even maybe stories all the time. Just some people are so full of one-liners, man, and you can pull a hook out of a conversation, and that'll spark a whole song idea. But just I try to read and listen a lot, and that stories everywhere if you're paying attention, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. And like, do you keep like a notepad or just shoot them
Oh
down on your
yeah,
phone?
a lot is on my phone. I do have a. It's just easier on my phone. I tried for a long time to just carry this thing around with me, and I do have a bunch of songs in it, but it's just too easy. Now I can record, like, I can sing into the song now if I have a melody idea. It's like all in one app. It's too easy to not use, but yeah, yeah. You just never know what might turn into a line.
Yeah. And with your songwriting, would the melody come first or the theme, or
Sure. I kind of do both. Like I get it both. I get it both ways. Sometimes I like in my phone too. And on my voice app, I'll just mumble in melodies all the time, and it might end up with a completely different song or something. You know what I mean? I put together bones and then put together a skeleton down the road, and it could be either or. If I get a line, it'll go into the note app. If I get a melody, it'll go into the voice app. So I'm both.
yeah,
Each song,
that's definitely a talent. I'd never seen anybody write a song until my buddy had a guitar and he was just hum a melody, and he's like, "That's how the lyrics are gonna go. Let's write the lyrics." And I was
sure.
like, "What? We don't
Yeah,
start lyrics first?" And it was weird how much easier it was to rhyme in rhythm in a way.
yeah,
I'd never done it like that. Probably because I was a terrible songwriter, and then to see people sit in a room and interact and just put out 8 songs like it was nothing, and it was
yeah,
just like, all right, they went
yeah.
about their day.
The more you do anything too, you get better at it. I will say the melody too, like when you have a good melody. A lot of times just one line of a song, that could go a million different directions and you don't know. But when you got a melody that just keeps going around in your head, it's usually worth putting into the app.
Now, as in songwriting, do you have like a strong point? Like, are you a first verse guy or second verse, or is there any times when you need to like go, hey, like, do you have like a strong point and let's say like a weak point, or do you?
A weak
No
point
weakness.
That's good. Yeah.
is yeah. My weak point is I'm too strong at everything.
He just cares too much.
I will say, I often will, and maybe this is kind of par for the course, but be overly critical of myself to a point where I can do nothing with a song. You know what I mean? I've had songs that's taken me 3 years to write, and I've rewritten them three
Yeah.
times.
There's the end of like the last song off of our album Castle Rock, the song Sleepin' Easy, and it took you so long to kind of, and I don't even know if you felt like those lyrics were finished yet, or if you were just like, we have to record this,
Yeah.
it needs to be done. And at the end of the track, you can hear him leaving like the studio booth and just kind of sigh, just like, oh, like it's just finally done. We finally did it, or fuck it. This is, can we curse? I'm gonna curse it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. Sorry. But yeah, you can just hear it like literally in their recording, just like the sigh of relief that like finally got out, the song and
Dude.
stuff.
I have songs that on live I will sing different. Like I feel like a song can, if you want it to, never has to be finished. You capture a live recording with a different lyric, so be it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's always remastering. And some they just do part 1, part 2.
Yeah, but we got songs too that we have to radio edit. So we got 2 versions of it already.
Yeah.
And some songs are based off of, your life experience. And as that changes, lyrics can tend to change, and you can kind of start to see the world in a different way and experience your relationship with a certain lyric, in a whole new light.
Yeah, totally. Or just a better line too. You're like, yeah, this is better than that.
Now, like, do you have a song, like, if somebody to know who you were and they were like, man, I need a song for today, and you show them your favorite best song and they just go, man, that's terrible. Like, do you have a song if someone said that to, they be fighting words, like
Fuck them.
Oh yeah.
Where's your band, Randy?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion. We've had some success on TikTok lately, and the bigger you get, the more comments you get, and so there's always someone who has something to say about something.
Yeah, you're not always for everyone, which is, okay. And if you just stay true to yourself and do your own thing, you're gonna find people. Like same way with what you're doing, you find your community and you find your fans and people who are into it. So if they don't dig it,
yeah, it's true. It's funny is Cody Parks had a video up. It said, "Welcome to TikTok, where Jesus Christ himself can be rocking the solo to Freebird, and someone will comment, Skinner did it better."
Yeah,
totally.
I was like,
that's great. Everyone has an opinion.
I was like, it's so right. And they never have any videos or a profile picture.
They don't. They don't.
It's not fair.
I know. They give you nothing to work off of. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm petty. I'll pick apart your hairline. Give me something to work with.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's hilarious. What is there a single song that gave you like success that really put you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the middle of that right now. Like Me in the Bottle, our latest radio single, has done the most of any of our stuff. We Castle Rock itself, the album, did really well when it came out a couple of years ago with Angela on Americana Radio, and really kind of helped us start landing bigger and better shows. But I don't know if I could point to one single song off that. I think the whole album is what really kind of stayed in the charts for a while. But recently, Me in the Bottle for sure. It's done really. We're in our 19th week or something on the charts. I think we're in the top 20 in a lot of these charts, and that's a long time for an independent artist to have something on radio. And then TikTok has been a huge part of that too. The song really resonated. It's the Democrat line, but it's really resonated on TikTok. So
yeah, like it's cool to see you guys actually using like TikTok for what you can. Like I don't know if you have an artist account, but that helps, especially recently. But like a lot of people that like do what I do, they're like, here's 3 people you've never heard of, here's this, and they just do like 15-second clips. But then like the sound is something else. That's why I always try to just keep like the sound, because you can just click it and you can put on TikTok where you want that to save to on Apple or Spotify. It's a click of a button. You don't have to go Google it. You don't have to put your phone down. It's so much access. Like if you're like, oh, I like that song, you click the bottom right of the sound and add it. And
Yep.
I don't see why there's so many people that don't utilize the power of, and they do all the pushing out
Yeah.
itself. Like you don't have to you don't have to beg everybody on Facebook, like, come on, share, please.
Sure.
It just, it does it itself. And it is cool when I mean, it's a great business card that
Yeah.
literally costs nothing other than your time and your image, and just get in front of a camera, putting yourself out there. And
Yeah, I've been trying to get so many French bands who are much younger than us and probably could have worked the app a lot better than us to get on it. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is an incredible tool that we've never had, as artists, to be able to like distribute and get our music out there and get it, to new ears and stuff. We're kind of suspended on TikTok. We're in TikTok jail right now. The heat was too high.
The heat was too high.
Yeah. Apparently you can't do stuff on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like, especially now when that Universal thing went through, and they're muting and taking all the sounds down. Like that's why, like, I just like point now and play the song, do a little snip at the end. But like, yeah, you can't say certain things, can't do certain stuff, or they'll get you. And sometimes it's just like, I didn't do that.
I think that's what we're in right now. So it literally doesn't even make sense. I mean, we have, drinking, and that's part of the lyrics in songs, or you know what I mean? Like, so, but we'll get out of it.
Yeah, that's fun. Like, when people always ask, like, when I'm live, they're like, what are you having? And I'm like, root beer, soda, koozies. That's why I put everything in a koozie, because you'll end up in jail.
It's such to put all this effort into something, because I mean, even creating the content costs money, you know what I mean? And for sure time, to put all that into it, and then it just get flagged for something you didn't see or something little, like tedious, but that's where we are for sure.
Yeah, it's funny when people, they say like, oh, there's so much stuff on there, blah, 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 but the kids, I'm like, man, it's one of the most heavily regulated. I'm like, believe me, I know. You'll find some stuff that slips through the cracks, but Instagram, I see some stuff on there. I'm like, whoa. And you didn't even ask for it. That's, to be a kid nowadays, it's like, there's no like man missions to go get that stuff anymore in the store. It's all like, you don't have to leave the house. You don't have to distract the clerk at the counter anymore and run out when your buddy's like, no, they're over there. But
I've never
technology. Well, that's like music. Music's changing. I mean, TikTok's became the guy selling your mixtape at the gas station.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man.
Venues too they want to see what your numbers are on TikTok. I mean, booking artists without bands that just have huge followings. You know what I mean? Like, they put a band together. And
it like, a lot of people don't know. Like, sometimes, like, the band has to buy their own tickets, and people go, why? And I'm like, because there's like deals where, like, if you want to play like a venue, and they're like, listen, you have to sell this many tickets yourself, and we'll do our, and with that guy, there have been times where I'm like, dude, we're this many short, and I'd be like, well, how much is it? And people don't understand sometimes. Like, it's weird. It's like buying your own CD. Like, it's just, they want to see the numbers, and like, it's weird seeing the ads of, Friday night, boom, 3 million followers on TikTok, and 100,000 on Insta, and this, and it's just like, wow, like, just be a startup and to see that, and you can put a lot of work in the social media and have it go nowhere. And that's an entire aspect. Like, you can be an incredible musician and just awkward on camera, or just have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole. One thing I'm very thankful for in this group, the guys who are involved have a lot of skill sets in important areas. One of them being social media, that that a lot of bands just don't. I mean, we have, Ron's an incredible video guy that's done stuff with Visible and like that, and Taylor's an incredible producer, and Gabe does social media side of stuff and is incredibly successful at that. And but a lot of bands don't have that. And then also, like, it just sucks to constantly have to promote yourself like that. You're trying to be a creative, and that side of it is much more of a, like, brain activity. And for creatives, I think it's more difficult to try to run the business side of things, which is why management and stuff is so important. But then you gotta, that's another hand in the pot, and it's just especially at a lower level, takes a lot of moving parts to really sell.
Yeah. We're also lucky because we're bands. Like, there's already an infrastructure in place. Like, we've been playing around, Oklahoma City and all over for years. So we have, the wheels to travel. Like, we've been doing this. A lot of people, like on TikTok are just some person in their room. They haven't made those connections through the years of meeting different musicians and venue people and people through the industry. So we're lucky. We're an actual thing, and now we're just trying to use these tools to help, reach more people.
Yeah, definitely. Relationships in the industry help so much. It's
these type of things too are so helpful, and I mean, you're just trying to meet new people. You know what I mean? And so I just want to say thank you for having us on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. It's cool to hear a song and like it, and then next thing you know, like a month later, I'm talking to the guys that wrote it, perform it.
Yeah, that's the power of all this thing.
It's pretty. It definitely. I keep thinking, like, man, I wish I was at Mile Zero this year, because like I gotta go to Texas to see you guys. That's like when I tell people, and they're like, thanks, man, thanks. It really helps. I'm like, well, I hope it helps bring you out to the Northeast.
Yeah. Where are you? Where are you at?
I'm in Delaware.
Delaware.
Okay. Yeah.
We're gonna be in New York City in July, and around that area, Pennsylvania and then Virginia and stuff. Anywhere you recommend playing in Delaware? It could be on the route back down to Atlanta.
Man, all the places we used to play, I can't.
What was the name of your group?
God, I play with Chady Willis. I play with a band called Southern Tide, and Hank Miller.
So was this all like metal stuff?
No, actually, Southern Tide. It's funny, is we used to call it country metal. I played country music, but we played like. It's funny. It's like when the one guitar player left, and they're like, "You got to do these parts," and I was like, "Okay," and they're like, "You need to listen to the songs." And I was like, I don't know them. I never heard the originals. And they're like, well, how do you play them? And I'm like, it's all E, G,
1, 4, 5.
Yeah, all G, D, A. That's half the set right there. And yeah, like the one guitar player was having a kid, and he's like, I'm done. So I was like, okay, I play guitar, so I just kind of stepped in, and we've burned. The bridges have been burned.
Yeah.
We got told by the guy that he gave us studio time for free, and one of the members got in an argument with him on his tour bus, and it was just like that right there was like, well, we're done. Because I was going to do it. I had my laptop, and I remember the guy's band manager looking at my notes, and he goes, why aren't you doing this full time? I'm like, because I can't afford it. He goes, dude, I can't sell this many t-shirts. And I was like, oh, I don't sell them. I get a girl to sell them. I'm like, you'd be surprised what they do for something signed or from a band, and like just to feel included. And it raffle tickets, $10 the length of your arm. Like if they were going to throw out like drum heads, I'm like, what are you doing? Sign it. And have everybody sign it. And the drinkers love raffles. I found that out. You get a $99 Epiphone acoustic. They don't know it's $90. You sign it, write lyrics on a verse and a chorus on the back, and it looks legit. And that used to make money. And I just remember I felt like I could do it, and then for all that to happen, because that's why I admire like guys that do it like you guys, because it's a leap of faith. It's that scene in The Matrix where they're like jump, and they're like, no one makes the first jump. They're like, you have to trust that you're gonna make it, and I didn't have that trust in myself. And there's no healthcare, there's no umbrella, it's a huge, and it's cutthroat.
Yeah, but it's the best.
It is. I know.
Yeah.
The
It takes
endorphin rush.
a certain person to want to do this stuff, but like, I mean, we're so far in it. It's just like to think about like giving up or turning around. It's like it's not an option, and there's no feeling like playing on a stage.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to be in the audience? Like if you're at a place where there's no possibility, they're gonna be like, Jason's got in the high heats here, let's bring him up. There's no possibility of it. There's a feeling I know that I get where I'm like,
like you just want to be up there so
just
bad.
yeah. I
Dude, the hardest part for being in a crowd for me is my fucking back now and my feet. I'm just getting so old. It's hard to stand there for a concert for like 2 hours.
Yeah, dude,
I'd rather be on stage moving around.
I recently, I've never earned a pair of Uggs. I read there was 5,000 comments, the most comfortable thing ever, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to a show. I'm gonna wear slippers. I hate my toes. It's, I wear 14s. Everyone's gonna be stepping on my feet. I said, but I want to be comfortable. And these slippers were so terrible. It must have looked like I had to go to the bathroom because I was constantly moving my feet. Like, oh God, this is nuts. But yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, why isn't there a shoe? Like, it's not like those memory foam like mats that you wash dishes at, and it's all like a bouncy castle. Why don't they make shoes like that? Like for people who stand still, like with the understanding, if I do anything athletic, I'm going to blow my ankles out. Like, why isn't there a concert shoe? Is what I'm saying,
Hey, well,
made by Serta or something. It's just
high heat sandals.
yeah. High heat plus CountryVsMetal.
Metal.
Let's go in on one.
These are non-athletic, sedentary. This is for the stand at. And if you're lucky enough, you can lean over at the rail to take a little bit of relief off.
Okay, I got it. We're gonna call the shoe high heaters for your sore feeters. There we go. Get a little rhyme in there, man. I'll sell it.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yep.
This is a recording. I'm gonna get a cease and desist letter. That's hilarious.
That's a yes.
That you already got the jingle and everything. Oh, that was fast too.
Can we get you over to New York? How far is New York City from you?
If it's in like Manhattan, I can take the train. It's like an hour and 45.
I see. Still a little ways, yeah.
I just saw Tanner Ussery, and he's going to like a Syracuse, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, like when I was in the band, I was like, New York City is huge for country, but they don't like here the thing they want to get drunk and sing the songs they've heard 10 million times.
Yeah.
But up there, I always felt like the thing is like to get your stuff up there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would definitely a fly rig. But New York is not, well, I'm thinking like Manhattan and everything, but there's big country out there. But it's cool to see like, like Tanner comes out here and a bunch of other, like I just saw Mitchell Ferguson, Dexter and the Moon Rocks.
Yeah.
Dylan Wheeler's coming out.
Yep.
Which he's, the opener is somebody that we used to play with. And I was like, and they're playing in like DC, doing like the Red Clay Strays, Lance Rohr.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool to see like, the Mile Zero guys are coming out here, because when I was down there, I was talking to like Dalton Domino and all these guys. I was like, And they're like, can we drive a bus through the cities? I was like, yeah. How do you think we get around? And I'm like, the thing is, like, I was like, the Northeast. And then they were saying they're like, their fees, I'm like, yo, that's not an issue. That is not an issue at all. I was like, some of these places, they're big and they have money.
Yeah.
I said the Northeast, it's one thing it has. They got money up here.
Sure.
And if you can bring a draw,
Well, that's what we're definitely trying to build. You know, it takes repetitions, takes reps in these areas, and it's just difficult. It's just expensive to get out there.
Yeah.
But what we're doing, also our music, you know, we feel like we're not kind of just a Texas band. In fact, we really don't even call ourselves Red Dirt. I mean, you know, no offense, we get lumped into that all the time. But yeah, I think we're a little bit outside of that while still kind of flirting with it. And LA is another place too, man. That country music is really just having a thing out there. So we're making attempts to get out there, and we're doing, you know, everything in house too. So we're trying to get venues to open their doors to someone in a new city for the first time. Is you just got to, you know, you'll find one. Just takes a lot of pavement pounding. But I feel like the product we're selling fits in those kind of markets too. I mean, you know, Tanner's a big deal now too, so I'm sure he's pulling good crowds as well.
Yeah.
We're talking to the bitter end right now, and we're playing at the Rockwood Music Hall for one of the nights. I think that's Brooklyn.
I think Della Rose played there. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I'll definitely have to check it out because like Winchester, Virginia has a big country scene. They got a bunch of venues out there that are doing a lot of.
Where's that at?
From here it's like 2 hours, which that you're like, what's that mean to us? Nothing. It's East Coast.
You're underneath. Yeah, you're all the way through Maryland and probably like top of.
We know geography.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
we know where our states are.
I'm like 15 minutes away. Like, if I was to drive down where I lived, I would drive through all 3 states all at once. Maryland, PA, and Delaware. And Delaware kind of like sits off here, and Maryland's there, and Virginia's down. But yeah, Winchester.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, they. I saw 49 Winchester there. Southall plays there. It's where Dylan Wheeler is playing. Red Clay Strays, the Moon Pies, they play around there. Virginia Beach.
Cool.
It's a cool music town. It's where Patsy Cline was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they like Apple. Yeah, there's a lot of venues that I actually talked to the one guy. He's really they're really into that style of music, and they know how to put on a show, and the hospitality is they have like after parties. I think it's called Monoflow.
That's in Winchester.
Yeah, I think it's like a big company that they took the Red Clay Strays. They did a huge tour with them. But yeah, that's a lot of people, and it's really accessible. It's really easy. The highways are, I mean, for us, it's 70s. That's fast and it's all straight. Just don't speed in Virginia. It's a criminal offense.
Really?
Highly avoid speeding.
Okay.
But and there's a couple places in Philly that like traditionally were like harder metal guys that are doing country too, because nowadays the country it's got an edge to it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, John Moreland. There's been a lot of guys that move from metal to country and make a career out of it. Kind of cool to see. Really.
Yeah, and
how one leads to the other.
And I noticed a lot of college kids are going to like the Texas country shows as well. Like when I went to Tanner's show, it was in like a smaller room in a bigger venue, and I was like, great, you know, I could, you know, not get bumped around and actually, you know, get to hang out with Tanner. And I looked around, I'm like, now this is cool. It filled up. So it's cool how like the sound that
I like the full ones where they're like right in front of you. You're just sweating on everybody.
Mm.
It's fun. It's weird to say. Like, are you a spitter when you sing?
I'm not a spitter, but I am a sweater. I do
Oh,
be getting
Dude,
wet.
be leaking, man.
I just get so excited, dude, and I can't help it.
Have you ever seen the movie The Rocker?
I don't think so.
It's like I think his name Rainn Wilson from The Office.
Oh,
It's white. Well, he's like a drummer and he sweats. And at the end of the one show, he's swinging his shirt around and he throws it and it hits somebody and like knocks him over. It's like you just hear him.
dude, I feel so bad because like we're sometimes we'll have a merch person with us, but a lot of times I got to jump off stage and go straight to the merch booth. I'm just sopping wet, and, like trying to get our card reader out, and like swinging,
Yeah.
apologizing. They're like, please sign this. I'm like, it's a bad
You're
thing.
just
Ah,
smearing it in
Yeah.
your sweat.
trying to hold a Sharpie with wet hands.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's funny. Now you play guitar?
Yeah.
Do your palms sweat? Your
Yeah,
hands?
sometimes sometimes are better than others, but you're mid-July in Oklahoma heat, it's brutal. Some of these outdoor things, especially.
Yeah.
But
Having sweaty
usually
hands as a
about the
guitar
fifth
player.
song when I start really getting lubed
The
up.
spirit hits you.
So you're like fresh out the
I
sauna.
actually have baby powder in the amp that I bring, and I'll sometimes throw it on my hands because just
Yeah, they make stuff. I must have moved it. It's called like dry glide. It's for guitar players or musicians that their palm sweat, and it works because like there's nothing worse than have sweaty hands and you'll tear your calluses off and it becomes
and
painful.
you stick to it. You think you slip off it, it just gets grimy and you can't move it.
Yeah. Oh, that white
Think
whatever
wraps
all
on-
over your fretboard.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's like salt crystals.
Dude, like Joe Bonamassa, like I've seen some stuff with you get done with the show and it's just like his finger just hanging off.
Ugh.
Put him in gloves afterwards.
Yeah.
I know Joe.
It ain't that high.
He's good. Sometimes in interview, I don't know how to read that guy.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if he's just like, he likes to be to the point. He talks like he's under like oath, like where your lawyer tells you to like just answer yes, no,
Yeah.
or I don't recall. I always feel like I never feel like enough personality gets pulled off of him to find out if he's the kind of guy I want to walk up to and be like, hey man, I'm a huge fan, or
Sure.
or from a distance, I'll just
Yell it.
you know what I mean? Like he's like been coached. Like, don't let them know, Joe.
Man, might be it's a whole this thing.
Yeah, it's his media training. He's pleading the fifth.
Yeah. Well, I guess when you do get to a point of being that big, you probably need to have a how to be about class. You know,
Yeah.
like
I mean, he was like from a kid too, right? Like,
yeah.
you don't know Joe?
No, I don't know, Joe.
You don't know, Joe. So, like, being a musician, like, personally, like, do you have a lot of like music friends?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like the differences you can spot of when somebody isn't a music person, I always find funny. Like, do you have like how do you know when like you're dealing with somebody and you know they're not music people?
Well, those are the people that are usually the ones that come buy merch and are like super into your stuff. It's your musician buddies who are like, all right.
Yeah, the non-musicians are my favorite
Yeah.
fans. They don't hear me fuck up and stuff. It's those musicians, like when you're
Yeah.
playing like in Nashville and everyone's a musician and they're probably better than you. It's like,
Dude, it's funny is I'll look for the pedal board and I'm like, that's where I'm standing, and I'll just watch, and like it's funny, like you can tell when they look down and they know.
They
I
spot
always
you.
I always love that look, but yeah,
I will I like when I'm not gonna say it means more because it doesn't, but when you got a buddy, a musician, someone you respect that likes your music, that's a really great feeling too. Just kind of on the flip side, especially someone you really respect because they get the craft. You know what I mean? A compliment from them is always a good feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially after a show. Like my mom's always going to say we did well,
Right.
but it's nice when your buddy who shoot you straight like you guys brought it tonight.
Yeah,
So
move
it's
around a little more, kid.
Especially when an artist sticks around. I always found that to like be extra special because normally,
yeah,
especially if they opened up, like it's
Yeah.
weird when like the opener like leaves. You're like, you don't want to meet it. You don't want to meet us, man. Like,
yeah.
You kind of sell merch or not?
Yeah.
Stick around.
So sometimes you got to get to the next town. So I understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time.
So speaking of artists, is there anybody like you would like love to collab with?
Oh
Or-
God, yeah. John Fogerty.
Fogerty.
I love Paul Coffin. I love stuff like right now. Holy Ghost rock song with him would be blast. I love Jason Isbell. So that
Jason
I would love to collaborate with Dolly Parton. Anytime, Dolly.
Yeah, if you're listening,
If you're listening,
Dolly, hey, we're here.
Yeah, she's on TikTok.
Hell yeah.
I
Yeah,
love you, Dolly.
Yeah, she I can't. She's like what 75,
I'm
and
not sure, but
incredible
Dude, she-
career. What like that's like Willie Nelson. When they like, if you have a lifespan of like these people,
Yeah.
do you see yourself going all that way?
oh,
Like-
hell yeah.
I
100%.
I don't know. I don't know if I.
I think it keeps you young. I mean, it's hard, but they're probably living a less difficult lifestyle than we
Yeah,
are in Spain.
That's a great point.
Mhm.
They
They got
probably
people that tune their guitars.
yeah. And like the stand they like you could hire with that kind of money you could hire someone to like put you like in the places like
Yeah.
like I'm gonna sleep and you're just gonna carry me and just drop me where I need to wake up and play the gig.
Dude, sound check for you, everything. You just walk on, walk off.
It's
Ah.
still a hard life, regardless. Like I was thinking about like Taylor Swift and stuff. She's probably staying in like the nicest hotels and is on a private plane, or like NBA, like basketball players. Like they're still having to travel, and you're still putting your body through all this stuff, and you're not in your comforts of your own home, and you don't have all your, sometimes you leave your vitamins at home. And like even at a higher level, it takes a certain person to like push through and, to do it at like their age is crazy. I mean, we can only be lucky enough to like connect with an audience that would allow us to,
Surely it keeps you young in some ways, doing what you love.
yeah. And also like, what else are we going to do when we're 70 years old? I'll probably be at the casino anyway. Might as well play it.
That's a great point. Just walk right off and go right back to the games.
Back to the slots,
Yeah.
dude.
Hey, want an autograph? Put something in this machine right here. Yeah, that's it. Like, yeah, they probably have the personality. If they didn't have something to do, they'd probably get in trouble.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah, that's a great point.
I know.
Creative outlets are important.
Yeah, I know. I'd get in trouble. It's like when my dad retired. He's like, "Well, I woke up, so I had a drink. I cut the grass. I had a drink. I did the dishes. I had a drink." And I was like, he's like, then it just became like, I had a drink. So I celebrated that by having another drink. And he's like, I need something to do.
Boredom, yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely do get that. Now, do you guys travel well as a band together?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we do pretty damn well. We've also it's a good blend of personalities, and there's times where we've kind of learned to get out of each other's way, and it is an art. I mean, we're talking about you know, the group. It's so, a lot of groups split up for the smallest, pettiest things. Like, just personally, I have to guard myself. Like, you can get annoyed, and then annoyed can turn into, and then a fight, and then a fight. You know what I mean? Like, we do really good about giving each other space at the right time. Yeah. Also, we're gonna have some more fights.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. No, but we're also lucky because we're like we're best friends. You know, outside of this, like we were friends before the band, and you know, we're friends in it. And like not a lot of bands, but some bands are just hired guns. You know, and so we've had like years to get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know what each other's. I wasn't gonna say this, but know what each other's farts smell like. Stuff, you know, but you can cut that out.
Ketchup and onions. Now the tuxedos are weird.
Yeah, that's Garrison. But no, we're lucky to just be friends doing this. I don't know. I think that makes it easier to travel with.
Yeah, little grace goes a long ways. I put them in sensitive living situations sometimes. But they put up with
What, like timeout?
No, like sleeping on a pallet. You know,
Yeah, we've
like,
gotten to the place where we're staying that night. Like, what the fuck?
Sleeping on a pallet.
Yeah, it's
You gotta earn this comfort.
yeah.
Sleeping on a bathtub.
Sometimes you got to.
The hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And like festivals like Mile Zero too, you know what I mean? That just takes such great care of you. Like, you know, there's a lot of filler gigs in between where you losing your hat, but like when you get the ones like that, they mean a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice if you can only live that life the entire time.
Sure.
Like I remember it was like one of my first green rooms, and they assigned somebody. It goes, here, this got to get you anything you want, and I was like, I want chicken tenders and a 30-pack of Miller Lite, and he goes, okay, and I was just like, that'd be cool if he came back. He came back with a wheelbarrow full of ice and 30 beers and chicken tenders, and I was like, what? I was like, normally, yeah. Yeah,
20% off the bars have.
That was the thing. I was like, oh man, I am not getting the check at the end of the night. And the guy was like, no, like we like to take care of our artists. And I was like, well, thank you. Like, what was that?
Did you drink them all?
No. It was actually like, it was probably one of the cooler places to play in Delaware. And it was like, I always wanted to play it. And it's funny. It's like, Paradise Grill. It's a community, a really nice, I guess they're trailers, but they have buses that it's right on the water. And these buses just bus people in. It's a gigantic, it's got a couple of it brings its own crowd.
Yeah.
Like the sound guy, Green, and it was like, now they're building a house for the band. But Paradise Girl's great, great. And the other one was Cowboy Up.
Cowboy Up?
Yeah, Ocean City,
Are
Maryland.
they still around?
Yeah.
We're gonna try to play them.
Yeah.
They got the monies.
They got the honeys?
They got the funds to pay. I remember I was reading. I don't even want to say their name because my buddy manages them. A big Nashville guy, and it was like cold Coke Zero, warm Coke Zero, lunch meats, and all kinds of different stuff. I'm like, what? and then I saw like for not
name. You should say the name.
Yeah, it was Montgomery Gentry, and I was
warm Coke Zero.
It was like warm soda, warm this, and lunch meats and everything. And I was with the sound guy, and he's like, "What? What?" It's also the venue. Jackal took the chainsaw, and he put Jackal pow, I'm like, that's a support beam. Like, I thought he was gonna cut the building. It's they did like throwback Thursdays. They had like Living Color. They had Lit. They had a bunch of big names, and it's right down the beach. It's a cowboy bar, and the bar is an entire city block. It's a big place. It's got an outside stage. It's got an inside stage. It's got the mechanical bull, and they have they have some big names go through there. That's what. Yeah, that was a cool venue. But yeah, I saw.
Not so big bands.
Yeah, it's
prepare for an email.
yeah, it was funny when they got.
I mean, we'll catch a support slot too. If it's, you know.
Yeah, hey, if they hired us, they'll hire you guys because you're better.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How did you hear of us? Like, how was it? Like,
It was definitely Steve.
oh yeah,
He's like the curator from afar, which he's actually putting his face out now, because first he'd be like, nah, I want to be on the back end. Like he does he's a very detailed spreadsheet guy.
Good.
And yeah, he'll send screenshots of songs, and that's how like I got Stone, and I'm terrible with track names. You're all your music pretty much, and that's how like I got involved with it. Like when I first started doing it, as soon as I heard like Pecos and the Rooftops and a couple other guys, I was like, whoa, and then it just ran downhill from there. Then like the algorithm changed, and then it was like, let's start doing because I got hired to play with Brian Martin, and when I said, I was like, who sings this song? And I think it was Troubadour. I was like, at first I don't know what a troubadour is, and I was like, what? Who sings this? And they're like, George Strait. And I was like, all right, who's George Strait? And they were like, what? You're playing with my guy? You don't know that? And I was like, yeah, I don't know who George Jones is either. And they're like, you mean to tell? I was like, dude, I don't. That was the big thing, because it was like, if I wanted to like actually like be a part of his band, I was like, I have to start learning country music or listening to it, and like it's like hard to do. Like I'm kind of like how you were, because like to learn the technique, to turn the distortion off, that to turn the gain knob this on purpose was like alien to me.
Bravery.
Yeah, because when you play like a Fender Twin clean, boy, are you exposed.
Yeah,
it's like playing acoustic. Every dead note, and it's just you're just there, and like if you're not good, everybody knows it. With playing the country with the there's like there's bends. If you bend them wrong, it's gonna sound weird, and you're gonna see all like the sour faces on people, and like the eye rolls. It's like, where's all the tapping and arpeggios? But it's definitely, I do like it now, and I love finding like it turns out, had I known like stuff like you guys and everything, like I this whole channel wouldn't have been an entire thing. To know there's a genre like you guys, like roots music, just taking everything and putting it together, and like I've always been a fan of story songs, and it's just I just never liked the way they were presented, because the ones I had heard were always like tractors, and I just remember like Achy Breaky Heart, and I was like, I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But that stuff is what it is, and people like it, and
certainly a lot of redundant topics.
Yeah, that's like why I can't listen to rap anymore. It's if my favorite band just did variations of the same song, I wouldn't listen to them either. So, but yeah, I have a question if there was a band to do the soundtrack to your guys' life, who do you think would be the best for it?
The band.
The band, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The band, the band?
Yeah, the band.
I've only heard like one song of theirs.
Oh, that's a great rabbit hole.
It's like I think I just one or
Wait,
two.
so have you seen The Last Waltz at least?
What is it?
The Last Waltz. So it was like a documentary. Scorsese did it, but it was like their last concert, basically.
No.
And dude, like everyone, like there's like so many other artists that came and like played with them, like Muddy Waters, Bob Dylan, Van Morrison. I'm pretty sure like Neil Young, Ronnie Wood, just like everyone. It was just like this huge event and filmed it. You should watch it. It's a great documentary. But they were an incredible band.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I just remember the comments of like, you get to like know people through like TikTok, and they're like, "What? You don't know? You've never heard the name of the band?" I'm like, "No."
Dude, if I had a nickel for every.
Yeah, that's how we
these
were in the
fuckers.
studio. Like when we were trying to reference, like, "Hey, we should make it sound like this blah 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 song." And he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
That's funny. That's
It makes
been
me
my
go
whole
for that.
existence on here. Just being. That's like Dolly
Yeah.
Parton. I knew what she looked like. You know,
Yeah.
and to hear her sing, I was like, and like Reba McEntire, I knew her from Tremors,
Yeah.
and I'm like, whoa.
I love the videos like that, like the reaction videos. There's something like it's so cool to see someone connect with something that you have a connection with, and I think that's why we're in like why we love music and love playing music. But I will go down a rabbit hole like on YouTube or something, look it up like reactions to my favorite songs, and it's just like to see like that initial like when a song hits them the way that it's kind of you living over that experience of hearing something that moved you for the first time.
Yeah, I hear that, and it is cool.
Yeah, it's just cool to share common ground with strangers, and at the end of the day, I think that's why we play music is to try to make a connection with people and like give back in a way that we've been affected by music.
Dude, if you like story songs, the band you're gonna have a real good time with.
Yeah.
And
Was,
just great writing.
Do you have a favorite song by him?
No, I like them all.
Yeah, I like it. I
They're
celebrate
so
their
good.
entire catalog, sir.
I mean, they're one of those to me. That ones are like one of the. They got some great songs.
Yeah, that's when you know you have a favorite band, when you don't skip anything.
Yeah.
Did you have like what was your, if it is the band, then you have a first band like that like you got your CD and was like your first no skip? Did you ever have like a moment?
Yeah. The first one I remember, it was Eminem, the very first Eminem, and I was in high school, and it was under the radar, right? Mom, and dad didn't know about it because we're extremely explicit, but I remember just listening to every song on that.
It was funny because
Yeah.
mine is probably Eminem too, but I remember like being able to blast it like on the back porch of my parents' house.
Without shame. Yeah. What is that for? I thought I was going to hell, dude.
Still are. Hiking, going to that hiking.
Mine was Poison, Flesh and Blood. I love that. And then like I guess the band would have been like Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Then they like I've listened to The Wall so many times. It's weird how like my favorite song of theirs is like Vera, and it's like what, a minute and 28 seconds, and I like it.
There's no off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just weird how like we gravitate towards certain things, certain sounds, no matter how long or short. Like I could listen to a 12-minute song and still love it as much as like your tradition like punk rock, where they could play 15 songs in 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Have you listened to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards?
No, I definitely would have remembered that.
Dude, you should check them out. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah,
They cover the gamut of styles. They have like an album that's all kind of like spoken word story, but set to like a Western, spaghetti Western kind of theme soundtrack, and then one that's like all kind of like heavy metal, not heavy metal. I don't know exactly this genre or subgenre you call it, but you dig them. They're
yeah.
they're crazy. They have an album where they do all microtonal type shit. They're wild, and their name's wild.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm hoping somebody writes that down, or I have to go back and remember that one.
You start typing gizzard and everything.
Wizard, yeah, lizard, wizard, blizzard. You'll get there.
Oh, that's funny. Now, like, is there any moment in your career that you wish you could change or erase, or you did something, you had a point where you could have done one thing, and do you ever have like a split in the path where you really wish you would have went one way or the other, or take like a certain gig instead of, like, has there been like a moment where if you could go back in time?
I wish I'd have gotten out of church like my whole life before I wish I'd gotten out earlier and started this earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument to be made for that helped me get here, but you know,
Yeah,
I shouldn't spend so much time.
yeah. But I think we're where we're supposed to be, you know,
I wish
right
I'd gotten
now.
on TikTok.
Yeah. I wish we weren't banned on TikTok. We're suspended on TikTok right now. Wish we'd known he couldn't.
Don't guess you can't burn one down.
Yeah.
Now, with the church, did you ever do like any like missionary, going house to house or anything like that?
Yeah, we do missionary, doggy, reverse missionary.
Dude, yeah, we were definitely a militant religious organization. We would do crazy things, even stuff that I think is part of why I left too. I mean, some of the tactics were just way too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that
we were definitely outreach is a big part of what they do. It tends to be only pointed at. Anyways, that's yes.
now having to do that, and that like was like going on stage easy?
I think, yeah. So like I was a worship pastor for 3 or 4 years. And that connection, you know, is something that's part of the high I'm chasing too, you know. It's, you know, that's one of the things I miss a lot too, is when you have a body of people that just come in already expecting to do something, you know, worship. It's like you just get to be a part of facilitating that, and that's an incredible feeling. I think because Pentecostal music, gospel music is so expressive, that is definitely a part of the energy that I have on stage for sure. And I do get nervous every show, but I feel like that's a good thing.
What do you do when you get nervous? Do you have like a routine or?
Yep, I do. It's several shots of whiskey.
That's funny. It works. It's like they call it the heebie-jeebie beers.
I mean, maybe I won't sweat as much. Yeah.
And I find it is medicinal. Like,
yeah,
it takes that little barrier you might not even know you have up. It's, I mean, some people do think they are the greatest ever and ever will be without a little bit of, you know, like, but just taking a couple shots.
I don't drink, so like before a show, it's just full fucking panic attack and just like nervous. But that's part of the excitement, is like leaning into that, and then you just kind of black out for an hour, and then you get off and you're like, what the hell just happened? And you know, do it again the next night. And that's kind of the excitement of it all.
I I love. I wish I could explain. Like, there's parts of songs we used to play where I would just close my eyes and just I would say to myself goodbye and just not look up and just I don't need to look at my hands. They know what to do, and it's funny how people will come up. And I just remember them being like, "We've never seen anybody play that kind of music like that." They're like, because I'm straight like headbang like it doesn't matter what I'm playing. I love it. Like I
Yeah.
always say, like I'm driving nails on the stage with my guitar. Like it
Dude,
because
yeah.
it could
You
be
want to feel it.
yeah, and it can always be your last show, especially as a guitar player. And there's so many, they're everywhere, and for some reason, all of a sudden now everybody's awesome. And it's just like, oh, little, oh, did you talk back there? It's like,
Yeah.
especially if you're working, doing like hired stuff where they don't have to like you, they don't have to be nice to you. There's a piece of black and white paper that says, you know, this is your job, this is what you do, and you know, that aspect is it's a whole entire different. Like when you guys do your records, you play all the instruments yourself.
Yeah, Taylor plays a lot of them. We bring people into for just different parts, but yes, it's all
Dude,
now.
bringing people in, I there's a couple of the arguments on our side with my band, but the guys that do it, you cannot beat a session musician. They are a different breed. I just remember like humming something, and they were like, "Okay." They put it on the guitar, and then they walk over to the banjo, and it's the same thing, and then it's like, because time is money, and like
Yeah.
I was pressing too hard on the strings and pulling things, and they're like, because I was like, I play tens. And they're like, stop strangling that guitar, and they hand it to the other guy, and he's like, done. And like a lot of people feel like it shouldn't be done like that, but another time is like if you have something in your head that somebody else does it better, it's still you. Just be able to replicate it on stage. But like I said, like when you're paying $100 an hour, and sometimes you just can't. But I do think that is beneficial.
It's
Like
song specific too,
Yeah.
Certain songs call for things, and you can, like you just said, you can sit in there and try to do it yourself a million times, or you can just pay somebody.
No, yeah, that's why we're kind of fortunate because our guitar player Taylor, who also like we record at his studio and he produces with Jason a lot of stuff. Like he's not one of the he's an incredible musician, and there's better, but he plays some of the fucking coolest parts. There like might be dudes that can outplay him, but like some of the lines and the melodies and the stuff that he'll think up, and that we're also like if he can do it the best, like if he thinks of this bass line better than our bass player, time is money. Like if he can play it and we can do it quicker, move on to the next thing, and like we'll do it. So it's we're fortunate. There's not a lot of ego in the band. Like no, this has to be my part. This has to be me playing it. It's kind of a team.
Yeah, and plus it's like I just always tell people like prove I didn't do it. You weren't there. They don't just let anybody in these places. They prove it wasn't me. What are you gonna subpoena the security footage?
I played every part. Fuck you.
Taylor was out of town. But it's great. It's great to have somebody like that. That's a talent too. There's some people just every note they play has a place, and it's definitely a gift, a talent that I do not possess. I just bend it until it doesn't sound as bad.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I'd rather have someone who can like. There's people who are so proficient that I wouldn't let anywhere near music. I mean, they're so technically able to do it and don't. Like it just takes the right person to play the right thing for that song. And Taylor's just one of those people. I mean, and he can play so many different instruments that a lot of times he does a lot of the legwork stuff. And if not, he'll be the first to say it. We'll get the right person.
Yeah, that's cool that you
Nice
guys
to
are
have that.
so open minded about that. Have you ever came across people covering your music?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny about like TikTok is, sometimes click on your audio, or we'll be scrolling sometimes and just see like a dude covering it in his room or at the bar. It's kind of crazy. It's wild, and it's also wild to like see people like the first time people start singing your lyrics or like one of your songs at a show. It's a pretty crazy experience. They're just like, how the fuck do you know this?
I love that for them.
Like, especially like if you're in the band and you don't even know the words.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I know the words. It's lying. Our bass player doesn't know shit. Yeah, and also not all the covers are not all great, but it's cool to see, people out there, like seeing your music resonate with people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be a
It's
really
an
cool.
At any level of quality, I could care less how good they do it. Just to take the time to. I mean, I know what it takes to learn the song. Like me, and that's just. They might not have a huge following, but that might have impacted a few other people that we have no access to. So I'm eternally grateful for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Have you guys had anybody big ask to
Record our songs?
Beyonce wanted to do one recently, but
Yeah. Have you heard "Shake It Off"?
Yeah, Taylor Swift. She was kind of wanting to collab. No, not yet. But if you want to cover one of our songs,
It's like finally my buddy's putting like more Texas and Oklahoma artists on our set list, and he's just like, no one knows them. I'm like, cool, they'll think they're originals.
yeah.
If they don't ask, I don't have to be like, this is a cover, I'm like,
and our songs are so technical and they're so hard that I don't know, not many people.
I'd have to go to Berkeley first.
Yeah. Absolutely. Juilliard, maybe.
We actually play with our diplomas proudly presented behind us. That's our blue check mark.
Yeah, I play with my guitar out of tune so people can't recreate. Okay, it's a stylistic thing. It was a decision made there.
It's also great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh. As a guitar player and trying to be a good human being, but also not trying to be disruptive. Have you ever been where somebody's guitar is out of tune and it's like they have no idea and they're playing great and all you have to do is tell them to tune up? It's like, have you ever had that situation?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. There's one experience. I don't even know if this connects to what you just asked, but I was playing in this Grateful Dead cover band, like fucking, I don't know how many years ago, but I was like, the drummer was like, every solo must be over like 32 bars or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Got that. So I called up my buddy. I was like, hey, do you have any acid? And he was like, yeah. And so like a little bit into the show, I took some acid, and by the second set, I just remember we were playing this one song, Franklin's Tower, and I was fucking ripping it. I was crushing it. And then I kind of came to and realized that no one else in the band was playing the song. Like the song ended probably like 5 minutes ago. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I don't even know what the question was, but yeah.
That's funny.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, we'll get out of tune every now and then, and Taylor will be like, tune up! And then real loud on stage so that he'll pretend to whisper, but it's loud enough for everybody to hear it anyway. But dude, like environment too. Sometimes you just go into, sometimes it's almost impossible to keep a guitar tuned.
Oh yeah, especially an acoustic with humidity, and then God forbid the sun goes down for 30 seconds and it comes back up. And when you play it, it gets
your tuner lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing we learned is like if you're going straight to the gig, you pull your guitars out of that hot trailer and you pop them open just to let them just get used to the humidity, the temperature. It's like weird little things that, people wouldn't know. They're like, why are they doing that? And that I can't imagine trying to keep a guitar tuned down in Key West with because it gets cold sometimes with being surrounded by all that water, and then if the wind shifts and then it's scorching hot.
Yep, it's one of those areas that's affected. I've been down there enough to know.
Yeah, definitely. I see the aspect of those carbon fiber guitars. Then they just don't matter what you do. You'd use it as a boat oar.
I'm dead playing one of those fucking things. And like an Ovation.
Dude, one of the last the podcast I did, the guy asked me, he said, what's one guitar you hate? One thing about hate? And I was like, I can't really think of anything. And he was like, all right, my turn, Ovation. And I was like, whoa, he went on.
People have strong opinions about
it.
I've never heard any of this side. That's so crazy. You said
those round backs, dude, they will just like slip up where you're playing it like it's tilted out.
I don't think I've ever played one. I think maybe at like a Guitar Center, and he was like, and don't get me started on applause. I'm like, well, you're never getting an endorsement from them, so let's have at it. Yeah, I never even thought that back plastic.
Yeah, not fun.
Who would have thought that again? But then again, I hate.
They did.
Oh, dude, there's a picture of you with one of the most unique 12-string guitars I've ever seen. What is that?
It's a Fender Villager.
It's a Fender?
Yeah. You got that old hockey stick neck?
Yeah.
Yep.
What is there, like one made? I've never seen. Are they like a production model or?
They made like 400. They made a very few of them, and they did so well. And to be honest, the integrity of it, I've had it worked on quite a bit. But through the middle of that thing is a hole, a metal rod, and it kind of helps with the sound and then just keeps the whole thing together. But it's one of the ones I had to quit taking it out because tuning it was just a nightmare.
Oh, dude!
And I love that thing.
I saw a picture of you, and I'm like, what is that? And
yeah,
I had so many questions.
Granny on it.
Yeah. I was very interested with the pick guard.
Yeah,
and it has a rad looking guitar.
I like the thing. It's on a lot of the record.
Oh, really?
In the studio, and it can take as much time as you need. But between songs, oh my god,
I haven't tuned 12 string.
Yeah.
Are you a 12-string guy?
I like, for what we do, we have several songs that kind of have that kind of Tom Petty thing to it, and for those songs, it's awesome. And on like just as a bed on the right song, they're great. They're not always great to play, but that one specifically, I could flat pick on it. I mean, it plays amazing. Just once it hits humidity, it takes too long on stage. But if we get to a level where we're having someone do that turning for us.
I guess that rod, because the pressure those necks are on.
You're crazy.
Like God forbid you go one gauge up, you're gonna break the thing. You're gonna.
The whole like neck was made of like balsa wood or something that was real fat, and that it's from like the 60s or something too, and it was just disintegrating. So the guy, Uncle Peg, shout out to Uncle Peg. He put some good wood in it, and
so he rebuilt the neck.
He rebuilt the stability block or whatever it is that's under the neck. That's the neck seated on, because I think it's bolt on. But it's a cool little thing. It has its own unique tone with that bar. I kind of really like.
Was it expensive?
No, I think I got it for $300. I put like
probably put more
into it, but yeah.
there's no, I never would have picked it. I was thinking at least 4 or 5. I thought it
like
was like,
grand.
yeah, like stuff like that. Like I've been playing guitar for a very long time, and I've never seen any. And to find out it's one of the big companies, that just blows my mind.
Well, like I said, I think they only made a few of them, and the reason they haven't been as popular, I have seen them recently, and that they have gone up in value quite a bit. But also, the one I got was just in such disrepair, and I think that's why they aren't as prevalent. The low production amount, and then just a lot of them didn't make it to this time. Like,
Now, do you name your instruments?
not really.
We didn't even.
I named my main instrument.
What's you say?
What's it? I think there's nothing.
Nothing.
No, I don't.
Yeah, like
No.
like my one buddy has like all different names for all his instruments, and he's like, you don't name your guitars? I'm like, no, I just kind of call them what's on the headstock. But
Get rid of them too often.
you're a big you know like pawn shop or
Well, I've just rotated so many guitars; it's hard to fall in love with all of them. It's just too much to keep track of.
that's a good problem to have as an artist.
Pay rent.
That's dude. You can never have enough guitars.
Amen.
Yeah, that whole like Sweetwater monthly payment thing, that is definitely like the devil for me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, I can buy this $3,000 guitar and pay for it for a year, but it
I
will
built
be
my credit that way.
yeah. that's another. I need that 800 credit score. I need it.
Guitars.
Yeah, it's like I've been looking at the Brent Mason. I want to be vendor, and there's no way I would just drop that amount of money all at once. And yeah, thank God for financing.
How much is it?
It's $3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, have you guys ever reached out to the company and been like, hey man, we're Jason Scott in the High Heat, and we would like your instruments for a discount, possibly free.
Yeah, well, we've gotten a couple things. But no, not too much. We probably should do that.
The little emails, they're down at the contact. The one guy in our band, he got an endorsement for Ernie Ball guitar strings, and he said, "Nah, I don't like them." I'm like, they're not written on. Like, no one would know. Like, I'll play, and I'm like, it's like, I was just thinking, I was like, man, I should just reach out and be like, hey, and they'll be like, well, what can you offer us? I'm like, I don't know, nothing.
Some like clothing stuff too, like on side of stuff. We're kind of fashion forward.
Yeah, I do a lot of fashion shit.
Yeah, it's fun. I did see. It looked like interesting materials your guys' stage clothes are made with.
Polyester, dude.
Polyester. I was like, no wonder they're so hot. I was like, these shirts do not look like they breathe. Do you suffer for fashion? Like
Absolutely.
where you like especially you because you sweat, like you're just gonna be drenched. But hey,
yeah, I think some of us are more into the comfortable side of stage wear than others. But I'm one of those that I'll wear it even if it's hot. It looks good.
Yeah, that's. I always say it's got to be terrible for some female artists because it's weird how like they just can't go up on stage. I mean, they could, but just in stuff we could just like, oh, we're gonna be comfortable. They got to do the whole. I just
dress it up.
Yeah, I always kind of felt just sacrificing the comfort for the look.
Yeah,
that it's weird.
I was kind of raised on that vibe though. Like in church, it was like how many buttons you can get on your suit, and you know what I mean. Like the look for the dressing up for Sunday service. It was a thing that, you know, my parents did and everybody at church did. And like, you know, you trying to lead worship in a 3-piece suit. That's hot doing that too.
Yeah.
I guess it's just kind of always been, I've been willing to put up with it. It's kind of part of our marketing too. You know what I mean? And eventually, we've got some ideas to turn high heat into a sort of push that side of it too, kind of a fashion vintage store type thing, and maybe in some of our own design.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's cool because I forget his name, but I was like, hey, dude, this might be a weird question. I'm like, where do you get your clothes? And he goes, why do you ask? I said, dude, you look like, I was like, you walk into a place, they go, the green room's over there, like you guys, you know, the same. I walk in, they're like, no public restrooms. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, dude, like you got great clothes. And he goes,
Who was it?
it was Liam St. John. Now it just came back. He goes, dude, I just go to like Salvation Armies and thrift stores, and he goes, I buy them secondhand. I was like, all those shirts.
A huge part of ours. A huge part of our closet.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, if I did have, you know, grandparents, I could, you know, I never had like the hand, like corduroy pants, like the old. I don't have any, never had any experience with that, but it does. It's definitely the appearance, like, you know, they always say first impressions are, you know, like I will remember like the first time Rio Tripiano, the first time I saw him, I was like, who the hell is that guy? He looks like a rock star. He was the one who said, I sacrifice comfort for fashion. And
part of it's like storytelling aspect and stuff too, like fashion, you're able to kind of tell people what you're about. And that's kind of like when we were talking about like the name, like the high heat and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's a baseball reference, but it's also like we're not red dirt country music. We're, you know, trying to carve out, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we have a different sound we feel. And so like the name where it's just kind of like a more elevated, different version of that stuff. And so like with the way we dress, you know, we want to kind of have an also elevated look. And I mean, you're putting on a show too, you know. You're up on the stage. So
yeah,
you know, also like a lot of that gear isn't uncomfortable. It's freaking it's incredibly comfortable. I like polyester because I sweat a lot and it hides sweat. You know what I mean? Great for on stage.
Dude, and I think you guys really have a good idea because, like, as somebody who, I'll tell you a story. I used to have long hair. I used to wear leather and black pants and black Slayer shirts. And I was like, you know what? I am tired of people not talking to me. But I had no idea. I went to Catholic school, so I had a uniform. And like, I didn't know how to dress. I literally walked in, it was structure. I looked at the mannequin and the guy came up and I was like, I just want that. It was like a sweater that, you know what I mean? But like, if going to a show, I've been to a lot of shows where the dudes are dressed in like, they're wearing awesome stuff where I would be like, I want stuff like that, you know, because I have like no idea where to get it. I've never really done like thrift or like, it sounds weird. I've donated to Goodwill just recently. I actually like went in and was like, whoa, like I'd never been inside Goodwill. I've always just dumped my bag off. And to actually go in, and it was funny. People were like, oh, you never been in here? Like, well, you obviously don't need to be in here because you have money. I'm like, no, I just never. But that would be cool to like go and be like, hey man, these guys look cool, and then you go to the merch and you could buy that stuff. That would, especially if like I go and like you try to take parts of a show and a band and to get the image too. I think that's great
an idea we had is like, because we're all into vintage stuff and like shopping. It was like we have a lot of shit that's just lying around. It's like we could bring a rack, you know, and just
Like a merch booth.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
merch booth.
Well, it's how I associated you with the aviators, and
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean. Like,
calling card. Everybody has one too. Some people like sloppy is their thing. You know what I mean? And it is more comfortable, probably way less money and time invested. But yeah, we're just this is our product, and that's what we're trying to. So I only like doing it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's I've never been like obviously there's like band shirts, but like the band like image as well. I love that idea, especially because like I yeah, I've been in the mall to try to buy something cool and I never find anything, and I've always seen like because I remember just like typing like and there was always like where did Rockstar shop, you know, like
Yeah.
that or like how to put together like and not look overdone, you know what I mean? Like I've asked a couple of people and they same thing. It's like they go to like different shops and they're like, yeah, don't go to the big box stores. I'm like, well, I don't.
Go to the Jason Scott merch booth.
That's
Yeah.
right. Get yourself a
It's-
suit.
dude, I love that idea because like
Practically sweated in. Yeah.
it's
Gus Warren will strip down at the merch booth for you if you want it.
yeah.
Give you the clothes literally off our back.
You want you want the DNA special?
Yeah.
So-
Brother, we're gonna have to wrap this up.
all right.
I got some family activity coming up here.
Cool, dude. Thank you guys for getting on here. This is
Dude,
great.
yeah, this was fun, man. I love your TikTok shit. I've been following it for a while, so it's cool to meet you, see you.
Yeah, and it's, right before I got on, I uploaded one of your guys' songs, so hopefully that's doing good. But
Which one did you do?
Cleveland County
Cleveland
Line.
County Line? Nice. Oh, yeah. Love
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, dude, thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, I follow our social medias. We're making our way out towards you, so may not be as close this time, but
Yeah.
that's our goal is to kind of get up north and east and west. So
Yeah, nice.
Out of
Hey, man.
Texas.
I got a car. I'll try to head out.
Yeah.
So,
the day train.
yep. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank
We really
you.
appreciate it.
Yep. And you guys have a nice night.
You too, man. Thank you.
See ya.
Then I'm just gonna leave this up for a minute too.